Okay, so we need to do a noise meter test on our vehicle. Now typically most workshops wouldn't have the facilities for this, which is why we're demoing it now. But if you worked in perhaps an exhaust repair workshop, you probably should have one, making sure that you're not exceeding legal limits. The customer is entitled to know that, so you should be doing that. At the same time, the customer might just be interested anyway, and it's a good extra service, I guess, that they might like to have. But like I said, the average workshop wouldn't be doing it this way. There are in fact two different types of tests, as mentioned in the text earlier. One is to do a drive-through test, a mobile test, which involves equipment different to ours. The most convenient one for a workshop situation is what we call a stationary test. Now to do this, the stationary test needs certain requirements in terms of setting up, so we'll just quickly go through those. First of all, it must be a non-reflective clearance of 3 metres around the test site that you're using. The ground surface should not be of an absorbing type material, so we're looking at a very dense material such as concrete or similar, not lawn outside. Engine needs to be the correct engine operating temperature, so the engine should have run for quite a while, stabilised its temperature, and having all functions working properly in that regard. The sound meter itself, which you can see in the diagram shown, and we'll get a closer look at shortly, needs to be set at 45 degrees to the tailpipe. It needs to be approximately 500 metres from the tailpipe outlet, that's half a metre, and a minimum of 200 millimetres from the ground, but level with the tailpipe. Okay. One other thing to be aware of in terms of setting up is if you've got rattly exhaust mounts or something like that, the noise that can come from that can actually trigger up the ultimate result that you get. So make sure there's nothing knocking around, and also making sure there's no cause for serious exhaust backfire, because the backfire can exceed the rest of the noise. So consequently, your reading is reading higher than it perhaps needs to be. So just make sure those things are covered. Okay, so that's all of them pretty much covered. The next thing that we need to do is to get some specifications. There are specifications for what the engine speed needs to be as we do this test. So let's quickly go through how we can locate that information. Most workshops have got lubrication tune-up data manuals as shown in the diagram in front of you. Hopefully yours are a bit cleaner than ours. Of course, it could be more recent in terms of years, and similarly, many of them look the same, they've just got different colours. So Castrol will have one, Shell, Caltex, and most other manufacturers of products like that have these same books. Contents are the same, it's just the cover that's different. So we need to have one of those to get our information from. Next, we need to use it. So for the vehicle that we are looking to test, turn to the appropriate page in the book. In this case, we're choosing a Toyota Corolla, and make sure we're about the right year range. Secondly, have a look down the column on the left. What we're actually looking for is the power output of the vehicle, or more importantly, the revs, where the maximum power comes from. So I've highlighted that with number 2. Thirdly, look across the chart to your particular engine type. Okay, for the one vehicle, there could be multiple engine types. You need to find yours, obviously. And again, we're looking at the revs at which it happens. And the last step is, once we've located those revs, in this case 5,600 is where the peak power happens, we need to work out 3/4 of that, or alternatively multiply it by 75%, which in this case comes to 4,200 revs. So when we do the test, we will need to take the revs up to 4,200, hold it there, and then come down again, and we're looking for our maximum readings. Okay, so that should be all that sort of set up. Now, next stage is to have a look at the actual meter itself. Maybe considered complicated. First of all, you can't quite see it in this picture, but you would have seen it in earlier ones. There is a microphone at the tip, which is what we're directing to the exhaust tailpipe. So it's just got a pointed end to it where the microphone exists. Looking at the particular diagram, we've got a mode switch. Now, the mode switch allows a couple of things. One is under the SPL reading. Basically what that is, it's doing a live reading. So the numbers will go up and come down according to what it's actually reading. If you snap your fingers, it'll peak and it'll come immediately straight down. It won't hold that value. If you go to the second one, which is what we generally use, it will hold at maximum. Now that's what we need to hear. What is the maximum decibel reading of our particular vehicle? So if we set to that, the engine revs will go up, it will come down and be quiet. However, it will hold the peak value, which is obviously what we're looking for. Lastly on that one, it's got a battery reading there, just to record the battery inside to make sure it's not going too flat. Our next selection on there is our range. Our range is set in high and low, and just to the bottom right of that you can actually see the decibel levels that that's based on. And we're looking at 90 decibels maximum reading, so we're going for the high range, which allows us to read between 65 and 135 decibels. Okay, so we'll choose that one. And last of all, on the far right hand side, it has got a response mode to it. Now response refers to how the sound is coming out. Ours is a very quick, sharp sound, so we need a fast reaction time, which is the S setting that we will be using. The other settings are things like a continuous rumbling and finding out the maximum. We want a peak value, we want to read it very quickly, so we're looking for a fast setting. Okay, so that's pretty much that. Let's now just put it into action, I guess. Alright, start up the engine. Obviously it's warmed up, it's followed through all these procedures. We'll now go to a live reading of doing one actually on the vehicle. So initially set it to base readings, which is just what the surrounds are. It could be, it will give a reading because there are noises going on around you all the time. It could even be exhaust extracted, but as long as it's not a high reading. Simply climb into the car, take the revs up to 4,200 and then release them. Alright, here's the following, which takes less than a minute to do. Just watch what happens and where it holds. Okay, so we've got our first reading.